G'day guys and welcome back to a new episode of the Boundary Riders Podcast. Today we've got a few things to take a look at, one being the Clayton Oliver situation. We also have some talk about some concussion issues going on in the past week or so. And on the World Sports segment, we will take a look at our usual NFL and soccer chat. But we'll also be taking a look at some information about the first test of the cricket going on this summer and some cricket stuff going on throughout the year. But of course, future me, roll the intro. And then Rankin from the pocket, don't tell me, Isaac Rankin!
Yeah.
He's just got the license for a brothel.
Well, I think Gather Round's going to be AFL this next season.
It's at the handle at the back, Nick Dacos to get the pies home! He's done it! So guys, as always, we have our co-host Jack with me. Obviously getting towards the end of the year, just before I think the teams break off for Christmas break, I guess. So there's not going to be a lot of AFL chat to talk about throughout the next couple of weeks, I would assume. But probably the biggest story to come out of the past week or so is the Clayton Oliver situation.
Yeah.
Now, I'm sure you've heard about the situation of him being caught driving without a license, well, with a suspended license.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I don't know, what are your thoughts on the situation at first hand?
I don't think you're going to hear much about it at the moment. I don't think you've heard the entire story, so it's going to be... going to be interesting what the journos come up with. Yeah,
well, I think, look, obviously he's had a pretty tough 6 months, 12 months really.
Yeah.
6 months at the very least. Obviously with the injuries coming out pretty early on in the year, him taking a very long time to recover from those injuries. We obviously saw a lot of media scrutiny when he first tried to come back to the team because he was arguing with a trainer or something, which I thought was very fucking minimal. I didn't think there was much in that. And then we saw him get into the finals and, played pretty well, but wasn't at the best of his form. And then after the season finished, a lot of scrutiny and information came out about him. And obviously during the trade period, there were rumours of him leaving, even though Salmon Goodwin came out and said that they were never going to get rid of him. So that story was a complete bullshit.
Yeah, which we both said was true.
Yeah. Exactly. We had comments going, actually, fuck off, bro. He was never going anywhere. No. But I feel like this is a bit of a fucking mistake and a dumb mistake from him. I mean, when you first hear this information, we've kind of been on the side of, the player mental health and stuff, and I completely agree with that, and he needs to be, getting everything in line so then he can get his mental health, to a point where he can perform at his, his job, essentially. Yeah. But you obviously need to keep that in mind, but for him to drive with a suspended license, that is a very stupid thing to do. Shouldn't be doing it. And this was after all the scrutiny that he's faced over the past few months of the trade period and that sort of stuff, saying that he needs to shape up, and it's not a very good look. And I know that's a very journalistic thing to say, but it's not a very good look for him or the Demons, really.
No, 100%.
I just think that he needs to seriously shape up now and come back. He obviously, and also came out today that he's been sent home from the camp that they were on. So I don't know how big... I don't think that's such a big deal. I think it's actually probably a good idea, but I love how they've set it out as he's being kicked out of it, essentially, when no, he's got sent home because he needs to work on his mental health, which is completely fair. I just think that this is going to... like you just said, I don't think this is the last we hear about this story in particular. And yeah, I think that this... especially for Melbourne's sake as well, because we've seen the last few years that they've gone out in straight sets on finals, and they are a finals team now. They are that's where they're set for, and they've got the squad, they've got the, attributes to be making top four, and, they should be challenging at this point. But if Clayton Oliver's not performing, their midfield does get kind of thin from that point. If he doesn't come back in early... comes back after the Christmas break in some ripping form, ready to go. It'll be interesting to see how Melbourne go. The last few years we've seen a little bit of scrutiny around there, the way they've held themselves, I guess, to be be frank, we obviously saw the Jake Melksham situation with Stephen May. That was in 2022.
Yeah, that was pretty much when it started, and then this is the Goodwin situation. Yeah. After that, and then now Oliver.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. And because remember, they came back from the 2021 Premiership in 2022. They won their first 10 games of the season. And then that's kind of when the Stephen May situation came out. And then they went on a record of a 50% record of win-loss, and they went out in straight sets in 2022. This year, they didn't really have no one really thought they could win the Premiership, I don't think.
No.
I don't think they were a Premiership contender going into the finals. They did perform okay against Collingwood, but then against Carlton, they probably should have won that game, but they didn't play. They didn't finish what they did. They didn't, the final product wasn't good enough. And, that saw them miss finals again. Now, this club now is kind of setting themselves up for, a finals team now. They've been there the past 3 years in a row. But they've still got some holes in their list, I would say, as well. I think they did well to go to the draft, but they still lack a key forward.
Yeah.
Well, they lack a key forward who will lock down the spot. So, who have they got? The likes of Ben Brown, Tom McDonald, who is likely going to be pushed back this year, as they've been saying. Harrison Petty, who I think would be alright for round one. I think he's okay for round one. Joel Smith, who won't be ready for round one. He's probably having a little bit of target practice with fucking Clayton Oliver. But, that's kind of their key forward attributes. Oh, Shane McAdam comes in as well. He's not really a key forward. And Bailey Fritsch as well. So, it's really hard to see if Ben Brown can hit form. I mean, we've seen when he played for North Melbourne, he could have a 60-goal plus year.
Yeah, and he needs to find that form if he desperately wants to play AFL footy.
Who do you think is their two key forwards? Who do you think is their key forwards going into round one? Who do you think would be their best?
I wouldn't be surprised if Ben Brown gets round one spot, I reckon. And they don't really have another... I'm not classifying Fritsch or McAdam as...
Would you put Petty in this team? Because he did have a pretty good end of the year before he got injured.
Yeah, I still don't know if he's a forward. I don't know if he's still a forward, in my opinion.
Well, they've got enough defenders. I mean, the thing is they could probably test him down there at least.
Yeah, exactly. But to be a permanent forward, I don't think he's that. I don't believe he is.
I mean, the Crows did. I mean, they were offering a mil.
Yeah, well, that's the Crows. That's the Crows for...
Yeah, I mean, you can rip off the Port scarf, but anyway. Right. I think that if I was going round one, I would key forwards would be... I would pick Petty, I'd pick Brown, probably, and I'd pick Bailey Fritsch. But, I mean, can they play McAdam, Fritsch, Brown, and Petty in the same team? Probably not. Because, they'd have to put... Because then the other smalls would be Pickett and Chandler, really. That'd probably be their best smalls.
And Spargo. That's one. That's the 7. That's their 7. And, to be honest, not really any of them are pressure forwards. Pickett does it occasionally.
Pickett can do it, but he hasn't shown it consistently.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if Pickett gets more midfield time this year, a bit more time of be the Shea Bolton type, gets a 5-minute burst in the midfield every now and then. I think that's what Melbourne need as well. In a way,
we did see as well towards the end of the year as well. Petrarca went forward. I do like that, but I don't think now that Melbourne's midfield depth holds up if he continues to play forward, because Clayton Oliver's, let's say he's still playing round one, he'd be there. You got Sparrow, Viney, and then it kind of falls away after that. I mean, because also you got Brayshaw as well. But I mean, how good is he going to be when he comes back? He's, I think he could play well in the midfield as well. He's shown that he has been able to before. They got Jack Billings there who could run through the midfield as a new recruit. That's a bit horrible to laugh at, but anyway. They had one more that I was thinking of and I just lost it in my brain, so that's really good work from me. Christ.
They've still got the two, still good duos on the wing, as in Hunter.
They do have, the best, probably the best, if not top 3 best wing duos in the comp. Yeah, Langdon and Hunter. That's a very good wing role. But they do need to improve in their midfield, I believe. And I think that Max Gawn being the style ruckman now, they don't have to have that pressure on if we have to play Grundy or how Grundy's going to play. That's going to be a good thing for them, I believe. That's why we'll be actually taking a look at your fantasy team later. As you guys probably saw Well, you better have watched it. I'll say that right now. You better have watched it because it was one of the best videos ever out I've ever seen. But no, did you watch it?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. Well, then it must be the best video. But if you guys want to look at my AFL fantasy team, I did post it on the channel. Probably be the last. It would be the last video on the channel. So just check it out. I may leave a card there if I remember to put it in the edit. Remind me later. But yeah, I think that Max Gawn's definitely going to benefit now as the number one ruckman. Tom Fullerton now will be the VFL ruckman basically, unless Max Gawn gets injured. So yeah,
well, he could play forward.
No, in fantasy, he's listed as a forward, which is weird.
I think he's too lean. I think, in my opinion, to play in the forward.
I just don't know why ruckmen continue to join Melbourne.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's like, why do you want to go there to play as a reserve?
Yeah,
that just seems a bit stupid. Not
stupid.
Just
to end your career in the AFL for a time period.
Yeah, I just don't see the need for it, to be honest. I mean, he could have gone to another club, but I mean, maybe he just wanted to play under Max Gawn, and he is getting a bit older now. So I mean, Tom Fullerton's probably next up on the list.
Yeah.
But we'll move on. Just talk a little bit about some information that came out about the concussion. So obviously head knocks in the AFL have been really talked about throughout the year. Basically every single player that got a head knock would be checked with the what was it called? The HIA. That's the word. They were checked with the HIA. There was obviously an incident throughout the year with Port Adelaide that they got fined for not subbing someone, even though they had a concussion issue. And it does seem now that Mark Stevens actually reporting that believe that one AFL club has had 3 separate players suffer concussions in a week. This is a huge issue, many knocks that don't make the media spotlight, and non-contact training is on the agenda. Yeah, so they're trying to sort. So basically, what they're trying to say is that they're going to try and limit the amount of contact training, especially before Christmas, probably in the future, and going forward throughout the season. So obviously, it is a contact sport, and things are going to happen, like accidents and concussions can happen. But at the end of the day, if one club's having 3 separate head injuries at this point of the year, it's a big issue. And we obviously saw, what was it, a couple of weeks ago, that Shane Tuck, I believe it was Shane Tuck's family or something to do with that. Yeah, there was a lot. He got in the spotlight after all the head knocks that he had. But yeah, basically what they're saying is that the AFL are looking into less like contact training for AFL clubs to reduce the risk of concussion. I think that's a good idea, but you've also got to be careful of going too far and not, because teams need to train contact, obviously.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And we've also seen in things like the NFL and that they're not the best of tacklers, and even with all the headgear that they wear, they can still suffer concussion.
Yeah.
And this is where it kind of runs to, as AFL, obviously they're trained, like even like the younger kids coming through from the draft, they do need to be trained still how to tackle, because if they don't get trained properly from the for an AFL standard, they can hurt themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
Or hurt someone else.
Yeah.
So I do think it is a good idea that they need, especially at this time of year. They probably shouldn't be doing a lot of contact training, but I think it is an issue that needs to be taken a look at.
Yeah.
So that was just the other AFL news story. But before we move into the world sports segment of the podcast, we'll move into the AFL fantasy chat. Now, like I said, I've shown my AFL fantasy team. There'll be a bunch of changes going throughout this point all the way probably till March.
85 days till technically when it opens.
Yeah, so there'll be a lot of changes coming through.
About 1 million.
About 1 million. But you've got your AFL fantasy team up, so we'll quickly take a look at that now. This is your AFL fantasy team, and I've counted already that you have, 14 we counted? Or 17? 16 players that are exactly the same.
Yeah.
So, I guess run through your defence quickly.
We've got Dacos, Sinclair, Witherden, Jaff, Williams, and Daniel Curtin. So, it's very similar to yours. Well, actually, it's only half of it. So,
I mean, I've got Daniel Curtin on my bench. It's not like he's not in the team, but yeah.
So, I think Witherden, with Hearn coming out of that team, officially being out with a retirement, I think Witherden will take more of the kick-outs.
Yeah.
Sinclair and Dacos, struggling to believe how they're a defender. to be.
I'm surprised Sinclair hasn't at least got midfield status as well.
Yeah,
to be honest,
because he played a lot of second half of the season in the midfield.
Yeah.
Jaff, he was injured for second half of the year. I think it was an Achilles injury. I may be wrong, probably am. Williams obviously with the ACL injury. There's a lot of people that aren't going to pick him. I've seen some surveys that I know like 40% of people are going to pick him and shit like that. So I don't know how he's going to go with obviously Nick Newman starring late in the year, playing probably his role.
Yeah.
And Sam Doherty playing more of a midfield role.
Yeah, that's true. I think that we'll be interested to see how Jaff goes, because even though when he's had the role that he's had in the past, he hasn't really scored a lot.
No, he'd only average about 70, so that's also the thing that I'm a bit concerned about, which is probably...
But I think with the price that both Jaff and Williams are at, I think if they can average a 70, they're going to be... Their price will increase pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good point. But run on to your midfield
so
now.
We've got pretty much Bontempelli, Tom Green, Davis Uniacke, Took Miller, Sam Walsh, Paddy Dow, McKercher and Jeremy Sharp. So
now, you've got one different. Mine is Jordan De Goey. You've got Tom Green.
Yeah.
So just talk through Tom Green for you.
Well, Tom Green, I think, is going to be a smoky for the Brownlow this year. If he can play most of his games, he's not really injury prone. He did have, a slight injury during the season, but he's not very injury prone, so I think he's going to be up there again. And another pre-season, he's still under 25, so he's in the prime of his career. A lot of these players are really Davis Uniacke, Sam Walsh after that magnificent final series. So it's pretty much right itself. Jeremy Sharp's going to be interesting for me for Freo.
I think, I picked him as well. I think that because, obviously, the loss of Liam Henry to St Kilda, I think he will get that wing spot.
Yeah.
And it was, like I did mention in the video, that Dimmer Hardwick was trying hard to keep him at the Gold Coast. So I think if he's in their best 22, especially on the fringes, I think he's definitely on the line for Freo. So that's what my thoughts were. So your rucks as well, you've got Max Gawn and Brodie Grundy.
Yeah, I'll be shocked if not 90% of people have that duo. Yeah. I'm looking at it like you got Tim English and Marshall. They're both over $1 million. Yeah. You're not going to pick both. And to be honest, why would you pick one of them when you've got both Grundy and Gawn for under 1.5?
Yeah.
Just over 1.5, sorry. Just over 1.5 million.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're basically getting... And like what I've said, these guys a couple of years ago were the prime defenders, a ruckman that you wanted at the end of the year.
Yeah, those are the two you want to go into finals in your fantasy finals with.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
what you want to go with. So
I've seen a few people actually picking Tristan Cherry as well.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Like, he did play okay when Goldstein was out to start the season, but I don't know.
I mean, it was one game, wasn't it?
Yeah, well...
Yeah, it was one game.
Sorry,
he played a brilliant first game.
Yeah, well, then he got injured, and then... Yeah, so he's going to be interesting. He may be the Kieran Briggs of last season.
But don't tease me. that would be brilliant. But yeah, I'm if it wasn't for these two, I may have looked at getting Cherry.
Yeah.
But I mean, you got to if you got runs on the board like in previous years, like Gawn and Grundy both have. I think you just go with the previous form.
Well, and the thing is also it's a good thing that even though the stupid opening round thing. But they don't have the bye in the same week. The Swans have it in week 2, and the Melbourne have it in week 6. I think it is round 6.
Yeah.
So if they're both in the same week, you may decide that you may want to go different.
Yeah.
But because they're different, different bye rounds, so you can do that.
Yeah.
I believe.
Yeah, I think that's a
and
fair
then
call.
We get to the forward line. It's a struggle. It really is a struggle this season to pick a forward line.
This is kind of where you're kind of picking from a hat. I mean, I think everyone's going to go with Sam Flanders.
Yeah,
that's kind of
and most people are going to go... I wouldn't be surprised if there's a high percentage of people going Barton either.
Yeah.
Because, I believe he should be playing midfield under Adam Uze. He should be playing midfield.
Well, I think now that Trent Cotchin's gone, I think that does open up a spot.
Yeah.
And I think that they do need some type of speed.
Yeah, also, Dustin Martin, he's got another year on him. He's going to play, I believe, more forward time, but I may be proven wrong, and I think Bolton will take more of that midfield time. So
And I think it showed last year as well, especially when Richmond were struggling, that they just didn't have any sort of spark in that midfield.
Yeah, not really.
They've got Jack Graham, who's improving, but he's not a spark for speed player.
Yeah.
He's a clearance player. A couple of the kids coming through,
Trano,
Hopper as well. They're not those spark, players that can get.
They can change
generate.
the game. Yeah.
He's a game changer, and if he can get 25 touches a game, he's going to be a lot more influential than him playing off half forward, getting 15 touches in the goal.
He will be more influential. 25 disposals, no goals, in my opinion, than having 15 disposals and 2 goals. In the way that he can play in the midfield, I think that is the burst that he can give.
I think the score involvements as well would go way up for him.
Yeah, 100%. Zach Fisher, I just wanted someone in there that was high price. I just don't know who's going to be there. I think Harley Reid, Zane Dersma, and Cadman. I think you just don't know. Harley Reid, I think everyone's going to get him. Zane Dersma, I'll be surprised how many people actually do pick him. I don't know if I will, but
there's been a lot of talk that he's a lot more of a forward as well, so off a small forward. But I mean, he's going to get games. That's the one thing you can say. And Aaron Cadman, I'll give you this one. Out of all of the players picked in this team, I'll give you Aaron Cadman.
Because I was the one that told him that. I'm telling you, it's going to be his breakout season. If anyone's going to get it right, it was my decision. It was me that said.
If he's out of the team in round 3,
I'll be like,
you'll be eating your words.
Adam Kingsley, you're an idiot.
He's kicked no goals by round 3 and it's his fault.
Yeah.
Alright, so on your reserves, is there any real talking points here, or is it just fillers for the moment?
Fillers, really, but yeah. Sean Maker. You'd think it would be interesting because he's playing for the Saints. He might not play round 1, but
I think he may actually get a game, depending on how his pre-season's going, because he could take a role of like a Sinclair, because they've mentioned he's a very good left foot kick. He's one of the best kicks out of the draft class. Yeah. So that's one talking point. I mean, I don't know why you've copied me with Jackson Binns as well, but that's fair enough.
I was just looking at the 200s and just clicking them.
Yeah, at this point of the season, there's really no point going to hard research on your reserves at this stage, because you're basically going to be...
You're basically half anyway.
Yeah, you're going to be changing them when the teams come out for round 1 anyway. Looking at your team right now, I mean, it's very good. I mean, 16 of the players I'll be picking them if I had the choice. I actually agree that your team's not too bad. I think the forward line, like you said, it's very, very hard to pick a forward line this year at this stage. Yeah. Because there are just so many variables and you don't know which player is going to be playing where. That's why I think looking at the pre-season games and, you got one scratch match essentially and one pre-season game before the AFL season starts. So I think that's where people are going to be seriously looking around for the likes of Sam Flanders, see where he's going to play, because we still don't really know under Dimmer Hardwick. We're going to have to see where he plays. Shea Bolton especially, I'll be keeping a close eye on that one. Zach Fisher, Taylor Adams, James Jordan. There's a lot of players in that forward area around that 600 to 800k that you've kind of got to fill those spots, but you've also got to pick the right ones, because if you pick because the problem is as well with picking these forwards at like 600 700k. If you don't have any money in the bank after the first round, it's going to be hard to get rid of them in the first couple of weeks.
They're your mid-price players. You want them to go up in price. And if you screw up and you pick a Zach Fisher who gets a 20, or 50, sorry.
If he gets a 20,
well, if you get a 20, you're screwed. But
I'm throwing him
if you got a 50, you kind of screws you as well, because you got no time to get rid of any money.
Yeah, because you can't get rid of a reserve by now, the ones who are the cash cows trying to get you money. So you have to either dump them for someone around the same price and hope they do better, or you have to just hope that their form improves. So, yeah, that's my only issue with the forward line this year. I think defence is pretty well... I think it's going to be pretty similar with the likes of Dacos getting picked, Hayden Young, Sinclair. I think the likes of that will be pretty popular. The midfield, I think that's going to be pretty popular with Tuke Miller, Sam Walsh. I think those two will be very popular. The ruckman, I think, is set. Gawn, Grundy. I think at this point you go Gawn, Grundy, or you go one of those two and you go for English or Marshall.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of fair enough. I mean, you could go for Cherry if you need that money, and then go for a top one. But I think at the moment, just maybe we'll see how pre-season goes. Maybe Cherry will have a blinding couple of scratch matches, and then maybe he gets a spot round one. But at this stage, I think Gawn and Grundy are the good. I think they're the safe bets at the moment.
Yeah, because you know what they've done in the past. So yeah, it'd be safe bet. It's a safe bet.
Yeah, I think it's safe when you've got a lot of cash. When you don't have a lot of cash to burn, I think it's fair enough call.
Yeah, it's a safe bet also because the forward lines, you don't know what you're getting in your forward line. So you just know you're using 1.5 million about for those two ruckmen, and you can try and space out the rest of your money.
Yeah, and the thing is as well, if let's say Gawn or Grundy aren't playing very well round one, that doesn't look like their role. I don't know. Maybe one of them gets injured. Who knows? But Cherry has a good game at least, then you can just downgrade Cherry quickly in round one or two. So that's a good point, I think, as well. But yeah, I think both our teams. Obviously, our teams are going to change a lot. If you guys are watching this now and think that we're completely wrong, or you have some thoughts about our teams, make sure to let us know in the comments section down below. But before we move into our world sports segment of the podcast, as we forget to mention basically every episode, I actually wrote it down in a note so we remember this time. We do have a Patreon that you guys can join. We put out this episode of the Boundary Riders Podcast early for you guys, basically a couple of hours earlier. But the Twinners podcast that we do as well, that comes out 2 weeks early for you guys if you want to check that out. The link will be down below, and there's a bunch of other exclusive stuff that will be coming as well. So feel free to go check that out if you want to, and if you want to spare a couple of bucks, it's up to you. But we will move into our world sports segment now, and we'll start with the cricket. And one thing that came out today was the IPL auction. Now, I want to take a look at the sales for 5 Australians. Can I ask firstly, who is Spencer Johnson? Is that just a typo? Or?
No, he played in the BBL last season for the Brisbane Heat. He plays for South Australia. So,
okay.
He hasn't played long.
Yeah, but why is he going for 1.78? Did he suck off one of the bloody Indian owners?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, he's been a part of the Australian squad over the winter period.
Okay. I don't know who he is. I've never heard of him. I thought it was a Mitchell Johnson typo or something. But anyway, we'll look at the top 5. So at number 5, it was Ashton Turner, who went for 178,000.
He went 6, actually.
170. That's an 8.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Oh, there's 6 people. Oh, whatever. Alright, whatever. I just finished work. And people may have noticed that I've had a shower before the podcast, which is very good of me, I thought. I kind of got to finish early, that's why. Anyway, at number 6, Ashton Turner went for 178,000. Jai Richardson went at number 5 for 892,000. Travis Head went for 1.22 million. Spencer Johnson, my new favourite player, went for 1.78 million. Pat Cummins went for 3.36 mil. And Mitchell Starc went for the highest price. I think it was a record. I think it was just ever. Not just for Australia. It was
ever. But Pat Cummins went first, and he was the highest paid ever. Then Mitchell Starc came in and blew it out.
Surely Pat Cummins is worth more.
Oh,
I guess it's T20 though.
T20, I think Mitchell Starc's a better bowler.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Mitchell Starc went for a record 4.42 million. This is where I think the BBL kind of lacks. This is kind of like obviously we can't produce the amount of cash that these guys, because these are like tycoons of Indian cricket and stuff who spend millions of dollars to try and get their perfect squad. But we obviously tried the auction stuff, and it's not as fun because we're just picking players with like weird number system and stuff, and it's just awkward. I do, but I think it's very interesting looking at the IPL and looking at the amount of money that players go for, but also like I think if every single player in a draft format for the BBL would be very interesting to look at. I don't know. I do think that the BBL has definitely dropped off its popularity in the past 3 years.
I think it's more than that. I think it's 5 years. I think since
even before COVID.
Yeah, I think it was more that once they extended the season to make sure that we played each team twice, but it went past the school holidays. Yeah. So that's what screwed it for a lot of families, because the kids wouldn't be able to go to the games because they'd finish at 10 o'clock at night. Yeah. So, yeah, I think that's what screwed it. And
I think as well because the marquee players like Andre Russell and that sort of stuff couldn't play for the whole tournament.
Yeah, that's also another thing. Yeah.
Very rarely would a player, like an international player, play for the whole tournament because it went for so long. And did they shorten it a couple of games this year? Or
they've reduced it to 10.
So it's back to 10. But the popularity really hasn't gone up, though.
Because it's still spread out so much. So if they reduce it to 10 games, but they reduced how many weeks it was and kept it within, 6 weeks or something, but you can get the players to stay around.
Yeah.
So,
but I mean, surely they could fit 10 games into 5 weeks, though. Because now they've spread it out. They had a whole 5-day break for the test match, which, by the way, wasn't very popular either. I guess we could talk about that as well. Did you hear how many people went to the whole 5 days? There was 60,000 who went to a 5
for the 5 days.
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
Well, 4 days, sorry, because they didn't get to
4 days. Yeah.
So basically, an average of 15,000 per day.
Well, it looked like it.
Yeah,
it was horrible.
Now, obviously, the first 2 days were on a weekday, which I think is stupid. I mean, why wouldn't you start on a Friday and then end it on a Tuesday? I think that's a better idea. That's just me. I don't know. But yeah, the test match was obviously between Australia and Pakistan. Not really a matchup that we're really like, oh my god, that's insane matchup. I want to go see it. You know, the popular countries that come here: England, New Zealand, India, South Africa to an extent.
That's it, really.
Pretty much it. I mean, there's not really a lot more.
But, and the thing is that with all the scrutiny coming around, they're saying that it was the Pakistan's worst bowling lineup to ever come to these shores and shit like that. It's not really hyping up the whole test match.
Yeah, well, the only thing that I've heard from news before this cricket thing, throughout the cricket, is the David Warner Mitchell Johnson saga, and I have not looked 1 second into it. Have you looked into it?
Not really.
No, because I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck about Mitchell Johnson complaining about David Warner. I don't have any sort of feelings towards that, so why would I give a fuck?
Yeah.
Like, the whole thing was going into the cricket season. We didn't know anything about this cricket. Like, I didn't even know we were playing Pakistan until a couple of weeks ago. I didn't know when the test started. Now, this is me. This is isn't talking about someone who's like a full-on cricket nuffy to be whatever. Yeah. Like, you follow cricket a lot. Would you go to the Adelaide Test?
This year, this summer?
Yeah.
No, because it's against West Indies.
Exactly, because no one cares about playing the West Indies in 2023 or 2024.
Yeah.
Because we know we're going to win that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, we're going to win. And if we lose, well, too bad I missed it. I saw it on TV. It's not like the hype of the Ashes. It's not like the hype of an Indian Test series. The hype of playing Pakistan, who, by the way, fielded terribly as well.
Yeah.
And, you know, West Indies, who, you know, even the hype for their T20 is kind of dropping off now too. You know, who's going to go and want to watch those guys play Test cricket? And I think a big thing about Test cricket as well is, I know this is kind of like a young person thing to say, but it does go for 5 days.
Yeah.
And a lot of people just can't wrap their mind around watching 5 days of sport. And I mean, that's a fair enough call to make. I mean, I understand that, like, people, you know, can't sit there for 5 days watching someone block the ball and, you know, just waiting patiently to see a wicket. That's why a lot of people who watch cricket watch it in the background of things, and then just, you know, a lot of people don't just watch a full 5 days of cricket. Yeah. I can't do it. I know you can. But I mean, you work for a lot of the time as well, so you can't really say that you do.
Yeah.
I mean, you can say, oh, I listen to it on the radio when it's on, but not many people sit there nowadays and watch a full 5 days of cricket.
No, I can't really do it either. No. Sometimes
I mean, the one days, I mean, even the one day World Cup, like, no one really knew about Australia until we kind of got towards the final.
Yeah.
Like, we knew, I think kind of the first time I was really into it was when Glenn Maxwell got that 200. And then I kind of got into it a bit, and then, you know, didn't even watch the final, just, you know, found out about it.
Yeah.
But that's the kind of thing, the popularity of cricket is dropping off massively because, well, one of the big things about cricket, really, is the personalities that it did have. Obviously, the players of, like, Shane Warne and even, like, the rivalry we've had in the past few Ashes series with England, and how I know the fire in the belly kind of went when we obviously the sandpaper gate.
Yeah.
Obviously, we were kind of told you have to calm down. But that did bring a lot of hype towards cricket. We were kind of the hated country. And that has definitely dropped off as a popular... Or it dropped off a lot of the popularity of cricket. Because no one cares. No one cares that Pakistan are coming over here. No one cares that, you know, Australia are in a battle against Pakistan. Because, one, we know we're going to win. And two, there's no personality. I mean, we talked about this last week about personalities in sport.
Yeah.
There are no personalities in cricket anymore either.
No.
I mean, the one personality conversation now is Mitchell Johnson said something about David Warner's career. Or I don't even know what he said.
What he said got him sacked.
Oh, he got sacked from Cricket Australia yesterday.
Yeah,
I think as well.
for a couple functions that they had in Perth last week. So he wasn't able to attend those.
Oh no!
Yeah,
the horror.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck! Thank God I'm so devastated. I missed that news. Like, who cares? That's just the thing now. I mean, and I just can't see cricket getting that much popular anytime soon without like a drastic change, even just in marketing and things like that, and trying to bring some, talking points to the game.
Yeah.
Because there's not anymore. There's not really. I mean, last thing we kind of saw was when we won the World Cup, and that I forgot that we even had a Test series coming up.
Yeah,
we won a whole World Cup. I bet you 3/4 of Australians didn't know there was a Test series coming up in Australia.
Yeah, well, the thing is, we won the World Cup, and then literally 2 days later, we played India in a T20 tournament. Like, what's the point?
Yeah,
you don't get to celebrate the fact that we won the ODI World Cup.
Yeah, because then a couple of days later, you were playing a T20 series against India, and then we're coming back here to play in a Test series against Pakistan.
Yeah.
It's very weirdly shit.
If you don't get time to... they cram it all together, and you don't get time to celebrate a thing that took... the World Cup went for nearly 2 months.
Yeah. And
you don't get to celebrate it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was really poorly done. But I did like some journalist in WA... Oh, no, I don't think it was in WA, but it was on SEN. Instead of like blaming the Cricket Australia for the promotion of this Test match or anything like that, he decided to blame the WA public for not going to the game. What a fucking idiot. I think everyone knows in Australia that, well, I think it's worldwide, but in Australia there's obviously a cost of living crisis as well. So, going to the cricket isn't free.
No.
It costs $35, $40, I think, to go to the cricket now as one ticket. Not many people go by themselves. I mean, you can if you want, but not many people do. But then you got to buy food and stuff. I mean, it's an $80 to $100 just going to the cricket and sitting there in the sun to watch Australia just dominate.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I missed that. I'm sure there would be a lot of people nowadays who'd want to be going, on their days off, to go see their mates at the pub, go do something like that. Why would they want to go and sit in the sun, watch the cricket, and watch Australia just flog someone?
Yeah.
Sorry, that's not really my plan. Not really my plan of fun, but hey, let's just blame the whole WA public. Oh, why didn't you go and sit in the sun and just watch Australia flog someone? You fucking losers. What a shit thing to say. He came out and basically said that... it's disappointing that the WA public didn't come out and show their support to the Australian cricket team. It's like, I think one thing as well with the cricket is something that there's not, like, Australia is very much a working class country as well. It's very it's very like, working class people. Cricket really isn't the working class sport. Yeah, it doesn't really seem like it doesn't really have the working class players anymore as well. Like, think of, like,
these days it doesn't. No.
Yeah. Like, you think back in the day, like the Shane Warnes and that sort of stuff, maybe they're not like working class, but they're like larrikins.
Yeah.
They're Aussie larrikins and stuff like that. Could you tell me one Australian player right now, other than Travis Head, who's a larrikin or an Aussie? Like, I mean, you can say Labuschagne, but he's just annoying, I think.
He's more technically he's South African, we're not,
Alright, well,
I think more closely is probably Usman Khawaja. Maybe.
Is he? I mean, he's just more of just a...
He more just gives his opinion and he doesn't give...
That's not really a larrikin.
But not really.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really like relate to someone. Like, if you look at the AFL, for example, like a footy team, like I go for the Swans. I think Tom Papley, like, someone who you can support, he's a guy who's like, hated by a lot, but you know, you love him as a supporter. You know, there'd be players like that for Port as well. I'm sure there'd be a lot of, like, Charlie Dixon, for example. Everyone would probably hate him. Well, not everyone, but, you know, people, like, especially, like, for rivals, like, the Crows would hate him, but the Port fans love him.
Yeah.
And there'd be Crows supporters, there'd be Crows players who, Taylor Walker, fucking hate him, but there would be a lot Crows supporters who absolutely love him.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Kind of like treat him like a family, but there's no one in the cricket who, like, oh, God, you're fucking the best. Maybe it was like a David Warner, maybe in the past. Yeah. But now everyone's like, oh, you're a bit of a wanker. Everyone in the Australian cricket team, oh, you're a fucking wanker. Who cares? You're not exactly a battler. And I think that's the thing is, like, you know, Australians like to follow an underdog story as well. And us flogging Pakistan isn't really an underdog story you want to be a part of. No one gives a fuck. We beat Pakistan, and we beat them pretty convincingly as well. Yeah. So I don't know exactly if the second test is going to be bringing out fans in droves to go and watch that fucking debacle. Yeah. When is the next? Oh, Boxing Day.
Yeah, and the thing is, Boxing Day is what, Tuesday through Saturday, the test match.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, people go Boxing Day. They'll stop going. Maybe a few people on Wednesday, and then they won't go.
Yeah, they won't go Saturday if it lasts for 5 days.
Yeah, if it goes to the fifth day, they'll get some people for the fifth day. Like, yeah, I get it's Boxing Day and all that sort of stuff.
I'll be interested to see how big the crowd is.
Yeah, I'm not excited. It's not going to be high attendance.
Yeah, I couldn't think it's any. I don't think it'll be over 60. I mean, usually you get 80 to a Boxing Day. I'd be very surprised if it's over 60.
Yeah.
For the first day.
Well, they're saying 60 to 70,000 day one.
I mean, that would be kind of fair, but they usually get 80,000. But also, they usually get... I mean, when's the last time we played Pakistan here? It's been a while.
3 years ago. No.
Surely it was before COVID.
Yeah, no, yeah.
I think it was. Doesn't really matter.
Yeah, no, I think it was actually, yeah.
Yeah, I just think... Yeah, I think that's a huge reason why the cricket has definitely dropped off popularity. But we move on, and we'll talk about a little bit of soccer news. We start with the Champions League. We actually do have the news of the Champions League group stage, which I don't have on me. But
which you should, because I sent it to
you. Yeah, no, you sent it to me. That's very well prepared, Dylan. But the Champions League's coming up as well. We can quickly take a look at the Premier League, actually, while we're looking at it. So, looking at the results throughout the week, Chelsea won 2-0 over Sheffield United, fucking you beauty. Manchester City drew 2-2 to Crystal Palace. We have to talk about that in a minute. Did you see that?
Crystal Palace and who?
Manchester City.
Oh, yeah, good game.
We have to talk about that in a minute. Newcastle beat Fulham 3-0. Everton won 2-0 against Burnley. Everton, ever since they lost their points, suddenly all of a sudden...
another 10-point deduction.
Yeah, maybe even another 10-point deduction, see if they can beat that as well. Arsenal beat Brighton 2-0. Aston Villa beat Brentford 2-1. West Ham beat Wolves 3-0. And Liverpool somehow drew against Manchester United after having 34 shots, but didn't look like they made one.
That was a horrible game. Like, literally, it was...
Yeah, that was pretty poor.
You have so many shots on target, so many shots. You should score.
Yeah, they didn't even look like they were. Like, to be fair, all those shots that they did have against Manchester United, not a lot of them looked like they're actually goal opportunities.
The fact is that you make Onana look good. You're not good. That's not good.
Yeah. Now, there was another game throughout the weekend, which was Bournemouth versus Luton Town. Now, this game was abandoned due to Tom Lockyer going into cardiac arrest. Now, from my understanding, he's all well and fine. But this is another sporting story that's another cardiac arrest or a game being abandoned in the space of 12 months, basically. We obviously saw the Buffalo last year had a player go down and essentially die on the field, but he came back to life. I can't remember the name of the guy. I'm sorry that I can't remember that.
Damar Hamlin.
Oh, Damar Hamlin. But yeah, that's just... it's insane to happen.
It actually happened to Tom Lockyer last year in the playoff final.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, in the championship final, he actually collapsed.
Yeah.
In the final, in that playoff game that got them to the Premier League.
I mean, you got to let the captain play, surely. I mean, you just like, I can't be out of this team. I just have to play no matter what. But I mean, he's all well and fine, so that's good. That game was abandoned, 1-1, which I mean. That's, I think, the right call. I think it was about 55 minutes into the game, so it's not like...
Yeah, it was just after Bournemouth scored.
Yeah. Oh, well, we died because they scored. Fuck! Alright, we're not going to make jokes about... We're not making jokes about him going down. No. Luckily, he's all well and good. But, yeah, that's... It's kind of interesting. It's kind of like almost shocking that this has happened twice to him, but it's happened a couple of times in like the world stage of sport. The players are going down, and we obviously saw a couple of years ago Christian Eriksen that go down as well. Obviously, these things happen every day, so I guess it's like it's not that surprising that it happens, but it's kind of surprising that it happens on a sports field during a game as well. I guess I just thought that was quite. I mean, it's very good to see that he's all good. I don't know what's gonna. I haven't even looked to see what's happening with that game. I'm assuming they'll replay it, or they'll just give everyone just a draw. Which I mean, it doesn't. I guess that's not the real issue, is it? I mean, they don't really care about that. Just right now, probably just as long as he's okay, that's good, and hopefully Luton Town can respond next game, and response for him as long as they don't play Chelsea. And hopefully they don't play. I don't think they do play Chelsea. They already got a draw against us earlier in the year, so. Hopefully all good for Luton. I would like to see them not get relegated out of the 3 teams in the relegation zone right now. But you've actually got the Champions League groups that round of 16 up.
Yeah. So we've got FC Porto play Arsenal. PSG play Real Sociedad. PSV play Borussia Dortmund. FC Copenhagen play Manchester City.
What a joke.
Yeah,
how lucky did
they get it easy every year. No, we're not talking about that. Napoli play Barcelona.
That's what I was going to say.
Inter Milan play Atletico Madrid. Lazio play Bayern Munich, and RB Leipzig play Real Madrid.
Yeah, so I think there's actually some good games there. Like I think that Porto and Arsenal will actually be a pretty close matchup.
Yeah, well, Arsenal never play well in the round of 16.
Yeah, well, that's
because they used to always play Bayern Munich. They always used to
Bayern
Munich. So
yeah, well, I mean,
that was always the joke.
They're kind of getting prepared to choke the Premier League. So they got their priorities straight.
PSG, you just never know because they always choke.
I mean, if you're looking at it right now, if we had a quick tips on I'd pick Arsenal. Obviously, it's 2-legger. I'd pick Arsenal over Porto. Even though Porto are in some pretty good form, I'd still pick Arsenal over Porto. I would pick PSG over Real Sociedad, but I wouldn't give them all the credit because PSG, they have a pretty easy run when it comes to league games. So I'd give Real Sociedad a chance. I think Dortmund beat PSV, even though PSV have had a pretty good run in the Eredivisie this year. City will beat Copenhagen. I'd love to see Copenhagen win that game, but I doubt it. I'd actually go for a bit of a smoky here. I think Napoli can beat Barcelona. I think that's a bit of a shock, but Barcelona really haven't had the best run this year. By the way, did you know that Girona, if City and Girona make both win their leagues or whatever, that only one of them can play the Champions League next year because they're both owned by the same owner? Yeah, I didn't know that. That's really shit. I hope fucking Girona wins. That'd be hilarious. Anyway, I'd pick Inter over Atletico. Bayern Munich will beat Lazio, and Real Madrid will beat Leipzig.
Yeah, I think, to be honest, Porto beat Arsenal.
Yeah.
Real Sociedad beat PSG.
That's a pretty big call.
Yeah, I know, but I just don't believe in PSG. Borussia Dortmund beat PSV. City will beat Copenhagen. Real Madrid should be able to beat Leipzig. Bayern Munich will beat Lazio. I think Atletico will beat Inter. That'll be a close battle, that one though.
That's probably that's probably my pick for the first round, the round of 16 so far. That's
the matchup, I think. And toss up again against Napoli and Barcelona. Sorry.
Yeah, I agree. That's pretty close.
Probably Barcelona. It's very hard to go against Barcelona, but you just don't know.
They're not the Giants that they've once been, though. No. They're not even on top of the La Liga. I think they're 4th right now. Yeah, looking at it, they're 4th on the table. Girona are still top by 2 points. They're 2 points in front of Real Madrid right now at the curve. It's nearly halfway now. They've played 17 games out of a total of 38, so they're nearly at halfway. But yeah, just before we move on to from the soccer, let's quickly take a look at the Premier League table. So at the moment, Arsenal lead at the top at 39 points. Liverpool and Aston Villa both on 38. Aston Villa keep on going. Yeah. They keep on going. They're keeping up there. City 34. Tottenham on 33 in 5th. Newcastle at 29 and 6th. Manchester United 28 points in 7th. West Ham 27 points in 8th. Brighton are 26 points in 9th. Chelsea, massively 10th position.
At least you're in the top half.
22 with 22 points. Then Fulham in 11th. Brentford 12th. Wolves 13th. Bournemouth 14th. Crystal Palace 15th. Everton 16th. Nottingham Forest, who just got their manager sacked, is in 17th because they haven't won a game, I think, in 14 matches. That's embarrassing. Luton Town are in 18th, Burnley 19th, and then rounding out the Premier League table is Sheffield United on 8 points with a whopping minus 31 goal difference.
Well, where would Everton be without their deduction?
Right now, they would be 9th position, just below Brighton on goal difference. That is actually insane.
That's insane.
And they're in some really good form, Everton. They're actually doing really well.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it's kind of been, not that it hasn't been coming, but I guess when you kind of get your back pushed to the wall, like they never really like felt like they would be in the relegation battle, even though they have been. It's kind of like they're too big a club. But when you lose 10 points and get pushed into that position, I guess back against the wall, you see if you fight or flight.
Yeah.
And I guess that's kind of what we've seen with Everton, and they're going to fight for it. And they've done really well. I mean, they beat Chelsea I think it was last week. So, and then they go and beat, who was it this week? They beat someone this week. I just can't remember who it was. Doesn't really matter. But the one thing I did want to talk about before we move to the NFL chat is the Manchester City game. Now, the way that they had a 2-0 lead against Crystal Palace, and in the space of about, I think it was 10 minutes, lost that lead. It was 15 minutes. Well, 20 minutes really. They had a 2-0 lead against Crystal Palace. They were cruising in this game. And Mateta scored a goal in the 76th minute. And it was out of nowhere. No one really saw this coming. They scored a goal. And then Elise got a penalty. Crystal Palace got a penalty in the 93rd minute, I think it was. And then the 95th minute, Elise scored. No one saw this coming. They were absolutely shell-shocked, you could see from City. And the fact now is... this is the lowest points Manchester City have had at this point in the season under Pep Guardiola.
Yeah.
So, look, obviously it's not the end of them by any means. I'm not going to sit here and say that. But right now, they are 5 points off top. They do have a pretty good run during Christmas. I think they have the easiest run during Christmas. I think they have Sheffield United as one of their two opponents. Another one isn't that good. Do you think City can still back it up from here?
Yeah. As long as they've got... If they've got time... And if they've got time, they can do it.
Yeah.
I won't say that...
At the moment, they do also have Erling Haaland out, and I think Kevin De Bruyne is also out.
Yeah, Kevin De Bruyne is looking like a return in the next couple of weeks. They haven't just specified how long Haaland's going to be out for.
But they do need him.
They do need him, yeah.
I mean, Alvarez has been pretty good as a reserve striker for them, but now that he has to be the main man, he hasn't really proven it as at the moment. Arsenal do sit 1 point on top, but Liverpool and Aston Villa are still holding their position in the top three. I think this is actually a really interesting finish to the Premier League season because last season City kind of had it the whole way, and Arsenal had a good spot on top, and it was really only City and Arsenal fighting it out.
Yeah,
and then City ran away with it. This year, there's at least 4 teams right now who can win it. Tottenham, I kind of think they've fallen off now.
I think they need more people in their squad. They don't have the squad depth to win.
Yeah, they do need more squad, and also they still need a striker. I know that Son has done pretty well as a striker, or they're number 9, but at this point, they do need an actual striker who can score. They need to look in the transfer market and try and find someone. If they can find someone in January, they can, but I don't think they'll be able to. I think you really kind of wait. You got to wait until the end of the end of the season transfer window to find a quality striker. Not many clubs are going to let up their striker at this point of the season. There is obviously a little bit of talk as well that Ivan Toney, he's been out for the past 8 months, I believe. 8. Yeah, I think he's been out. He's going to be out for 8 months overall because of the controversy he had. I think it was a betting scandal.
Yeah, betting.
Yeah. So there's obviously been a bit of talk that he could be picked up at the end of the year. At the end of the season by Chelsea. There was a couple of other clubs looking at him as well, but that could be a potential option for Tottenham because he is proven to have been able to score in the Premier League. But yeah, I mean, there's a few going around that may be looking to get out, like to move around as a striker. But yeah, that is something that Tottenham are lacking. But we will move into the NFL chat to finish this episode of the podcast. And did we see the Falcons? Did we see the Falcons?
Yeah, it was a good game. It was a good game.
Only the Falcons could fuck up what they've been doing.
Uh,
All they had to do was just hold off the Buccaneers and, keep level with the NFC in their division. All they had to do. And they go and lose to the Panthers. And not only did they lose to them, they scored 1 touchdown the whole game. And I think it was in the first quarter. I was in the second quarter. Fucking embarrassing. And again, Ritter was the only quarterback used for the Falcons, which is brilliant. Threw an intercept as he always does. He's pretty good at that. And terrible. Absolutely terrible. And I think now they've cost their spot. I don't think they can't make it.
Well,
I don't think they'll make it.
The Saints and the Bucks are both 7-7 now.
Yeah.
So you're pretty much fucked.
Yeah, we gotta go from here and somehow clinch it. But you've got all the results there.
So what we'll start with a big one on Thursday night. The Raiders absolutely flogged the Chargers, 63-21.
Oh, I'm thinking they're going for the Super Bowl.
Well, they sacked their coach after.
Oh, they did
the
too.
The Chargers, they had to. Well, pretty much they had to.
Yeah, I saw
that. Was horrible. That was a horrible. I watched the first half of that. It was horrible. It was when you make the Raiders look good. Yeah. I think it was like 42 or something to zip at one stage.
Jesus
it was
Christ.
Horrible. I don't know. What was it? Another one? The Bengals beat the Vikings. It was I think it was Justin Jefferson's first game back.
Okay.
But he got injured again.
Oh.
So yeah, it didn't help. That didn't help him.
Well, no, that doesn't sound very good.
The Colts beat the Steelers. The Steelers look horrible on offense.
Yeah.
Detroit won again. They beat Denver 42-17. Miami shut out the Jets because the Jets are shit house. Well, they are. They're horrible.
Well, I mean, that's a good thing for the Dolphins, though. I mean, even though they've beaten it, I know it's only the Jets, but they still need to prove themselves on defense.
Yeah.
And to shut out any team, really,
Yeah.
is still an achievement nonetheless.
The Chiefs beat the Patriots. You know, it's been like 4 matches since Kelsey's got a touchdown.
Poor Swiftie fans out there.
Yeah.
They must be breaking up.
The Bucks beat the Packers, which was a surprising one.
Yeah, that we could have used a win there from the Packers, but
yeah,
they were on the Falcons downtrend.
The best game of the season was the Carolina Panthers beat the Falcons. Brilliant game.
So for people who don't know, they were 1-12 before this game, and they were in terrible form. They were the worst.
They're still in terrible form.
Probably the worst team in the NFL. They scored 9 points against us, and that was still too much for us.
The Saints beat the Giants. The Browns beat the Bears. The Texans won to the Titans. The Rams beat Commanders. The 49ers look like favourites now. Even though they only beat Cardinals, the 49ers look pretty good.
Yeah.
I think they're on like a 6-game winning streak, maybe a bit longer than that. But
no, it's still a 6-game winning streak.
Yeah. The Bills somehow beat the Cowboys. The Cowboys, I don't know. It could have just been a hiccup for Cowboys.
Well, them and the Eagles are still fighting it out for that top spot in their division.
Yeah,
because at the moment they're both 10-4, so they're both going to be fighting hard for that spot. Because obviously, if they don't win though, whoever finishes lower is obviously going to have an away final. Now, as one of those top 4 teams, you don't want to be playing either of those 3 teams in your first game. But if you have to play away, it's still always a bit of a tough ask.
Yeah. What was it? The Baltimore beat the Jags. Yeah, I don't know. Do you think Lamar Jackson's the MVP?
I mean, he very well could be. I haven't seen a lot of the Ravens play this year, but they are doing very well. They're currently on top of the AFC. I mean, he's doing good enough. They have to make sure that he doesn't get injured though, because if he does, then they will be in deep trouble.
They always crumble.
Yeah, they will.
If he gets injured.
Yeah, but I mean, he's averaging 7.7 yards per play. That's really good. Obviously, he's averaging 220 yards per game. That is massive. That's two. I mean, he's keeping them. He's definitely in the conversation. Mahomes definitely isn't reaching heights that he has in the past few years.
Well, now he's getting angry at his offense.
Well, I would be too if I was dropping every single throw that I was getting thrown to. I was throwing.
Yeah. And then the last result, the Seattle beat the Eagles. Drew Lock, backup QB to Geno Smith, wins them the game. Fuck. Did you watch the end of that game?
No.
Yeah, pretty much threw I think it was like a 29-yard throw to Smith Najobi, I think his name is.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll win them the game. And...
Well, I mean, that helps the Seattle quite a lot because they're still out of the playoff picture at the moment, but they would be... They're quite close. Obviously, the 49ers are in front of them, so they can't... It's pretty hard to get in front of them at the moment. They obviously won't be able to, so they're going to have to fight hard for a playoff spot in the bottom half of the division, bottom half. But at this stage, yeah, I mean, it's the 49ers out of every single team are the only ones, well, them and the Ravens on the other side. It's pretty hard to see any of them two getting beaten at this stage. I mean, probably 3 weeks ago, we were saying Philadelphia. Well, probably about a month ago, we were saying Philadelphia and probably the Chiefs were the two teams to beat. And now that's kind of flipped on its head. We've seen now the Ravens really push forward, the Dolphins playing really well. The Cowboys have taken over the Eagles, and now the 49ers have got the best record they've got the best record with the Ravens with 11-3.
Yeah.
So you got the playoff picture right there of the seeds.
So we've got seed 1. We'll do the AFC. Seed 1 is Baltimore. 2 is Miami. 3 is the Chiefs. 4 is the Jags. 5th is the Browns. 6 is the Bengals, and 7 is Indiana.
Yep. Okay.
On the NFC, we've got seed 1 is obviously the 49ers. The Cowboys are in 2nd. Detroit's in 3rd. The Bucks are 4th. 5th are the Eagles, which is the Vikings somehow are still holding on to 6th.
Yeah.
And 7th is the Rams. So.
And right now, at the moment, there are in the NFC there are the Bucks, Vikings, Rams, Seahawks, and Saints all on 7-7. So that's obviously going to be a really hard fight at the moment. Just in the hunt, the Seahawks and the Saints both 7-7, who are just outside of the playoff spots, and you've even got the Falcons and the Packers who are 6-8 and only 1 win out. So that's
somehow I don't get it, but it's such a close battle for the NFC for the wild card spots.
Yeah, well, they are at the moment. There's only 3 to get in there, and there's at least 4 other teams that could still clinch a spot in that spot. AFC is kind of a little bit. It's not even that easy. I mean, the Texans are out, and the Bills are out 8-6. But then you've got the Steelers, the Broncos, who are 7-7, who could very well take those spots. So, there's I think 4 rounds to go now. 3 rounds to go.
3 weeks.
So 3 weeks to go. I mean, anyone could really take it at this point. Those playoff spots in the NFL. Like at this point, I'm probably sitting with you. I'm probably sitting that the 49ers are probably the favourites at the moment.
Yeah, I think both number 1 seeds are the favourites. I know that just seems obvious, but both of them are the only, to be honest, the outstanding teams.
Yeah.
Everyone else has their flaws.
Yeah.
And maybe the Cowboys is the only other team, maybe.
Yeah, but I think anyone could be beaten on their day, but I think if whoever's playing at their best, I think 49ers are probably the hardest to beat.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Yeah. I think that's a pretty good podcast to wrap up on, guys. Pretty long one, actually. This will probably be the last one before Christmas. I'm pretty sure we'll be doing one next week, but I will just say now that with your work schedule and stuff, probably could be mixed up and stuff. The podcast coming out the next couple of weeks, I'll be saying 90% it's coming out, but it may be coming out on different days. We'll let you know, really. I'd still be pretty certain we'll be coming out on a Thursday next week, but if not, we'll definitely be back the same as better, next year as well. So I'm pretty sure we'll be out next week as well, so don't worry too much. But if you guys, celebrate Christmas, enjoy your Christmas. If we don't have one next week, have a good New Year as well, guys. Really appreciate your support over this past year or so. We've reached, I think this is episode 44. I'm going to say 44. Early next year we'll be at episode 50. We'll be raising the bat. Anything you want to say to the people? Thank you for the support.
Yeah. Well, thanks for the support, guys. We're closing on 500 subs. 400, maybe 400.
Yeah, we're 350 right
Yeah,
now. We reached 350 today.
Yeah.
So, yippee.
We'll reach 400 soon.
Yeah.
Well, enjoy your holidays wherever you go on your holidays.
If you go anywhere.
Spend some time with family and shit.
Yep, that's, I think, a pretty good place to end it, guys. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like on YouTube. Leave us 5 stars on Spotify. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. But we'll catch us all next time.
See you guys.